So guys, welcome to our webinar. My name is Janet Gorond. I'm the founder of Tribe Sober. And the first thing that I would like to say to you is well done. Well done for being here, because that's a big step to accept to yourself that maybe there's a little problem here and maybe I need to explore what's out there. And that's what you've done. And that's hard. So I just wanted to say well done, just for exploring. The webinar will last about 30 minutes. We're going to make an offer at the end in true webinar style. But even if you decide you're not going to take up the offer, I believe that you're going to get some very valuable content from this. So please hang in there. Questions in the chat, please. We're going to tackle them at the end. And I'd like to introduce my two colleagues here. I've got Sue, who runs Tribe Sober with me, and she manages the membership program. And Lynette is our recovery coach, and she is going to be doing part of this presentation with me, so she'll introduce herself during that. I'm going to start by sharing a little bit about my long and undistinguished drinking career. If you want the whole gruesome story, then it's on the podcast, on Tribe Sober Podcast, episode 1. And there is the story complete with rock bottoms and wake-up calls I ignored. But for today, I'm just going to give you a very short abbreviation. In my teens, 20s and 30s, I was a social drinker. I was always an enthusiastic drinker. And my very first drink, I loved it. I thought it was a magic potion, and I suddenly felt confident and happy, and I just loved drinking, frankly. But it was more or less under control. And I had a few incidents when I went over the top and I got blackout drunk, but more or less it was under control. And I certainly didn't worry about it because my friends all drank as well. It just seemed completely normal. So when I was in my 40s, my social drinking switched into self-medication. By that time, I was a working mom and I was exhausted most of the time. So I would get home from work and I would open a bottle of wine. I would work my way through it in the evening. And then at the weekends, the social drinking would come back into play. So there'd be some long boozy lunches. And my total consumption in a week was about 10 bottles of wine. And of course, now I realize that the low risk limits are a mere 1.5 bottles of wine a week. So I was really way over the top there. So that my 40s went by in a blur of alcoholic self-medication, but I was very functioning, holding down the job, the family and everything. But then by my 50s, I was in trouble because not only was I dealing with breast cancer, which was no doubt caused by my decades of heavy drinking, but I had accepted that I had a problem by then. And I decided that I was going to moderate. So I spent most of my 50s trying and failing to moderate and feeling really bad about myself and just wondering why I couldn't drink normally like everybody else. So my 50s were quite a dark time. And now I can look back and see my big mistake, of course, was trying to moderate, because once you've crossed a line into dependence with your drinking, there's no going back. You can't moderate. You have to ditch the stuff and then put all your energy into building an alcohol-free lifestyle that you love. So I finally nailed sobriety in May 2015, and I felt so much happier and healthier, and I had so much time on my hands, because when you don't drink, you've suddenly got all this free time. I decided to use my background in training and development and coaching to set up Tribe Sober and help other people to do what I'd done. So now, with 8 years of sobriety and 8 years of helping many people to quit drinking and, more importantly, to build an alcohol-free life that they love, I've got quite a unique perspective that enables me to see why people get stuck in their drinking, why they can't make that change. And I've identified 3 essential steps to getting unstuck. So that's what I'm going to share with you today. Here we go. So this webinar is for you if you're sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. If you feel like you just can't do this anymore, I remember that feeling when I woke up after my last blackout drinking session and I thought, I can't do this anymore. I was done. Or perhaps you know that you're done with alcohol and you've known for a while, but you just don't know how to get started, how to make a change. Or if you've tried and failed to quit many times, this is for you. Because by the end of this webinar, you're going to understand why you struggled to change your drinking in the past. And you're going to know 3 steps you need to take. And you're going to feel excited about getting started, because we don't want you to leave this webinar feeling depressed about the prospect of a life without alcohol. We want you to feel excited that you have an opportunity here to change your life, because this is a life-changing journey. I used to cringe a bit when I said that because I felt it was a cliche, but I've now seen so many people's lives changing in front of my eyes that I have no compunction about saying it. So we want you to feel excited. And also you'll have an invite to work with us, complete with discount and bonus. So I want to share survey results with you. Hundreds of people in recovery were asked this question: how long did you worry about your drinking before you reached out and got some help? And the average time span was 11 years. And the first time I heard this, I thought it was bonkers. But then I thought about my decade, my 50s, which were spent trying and failing to moderate. And that was my 11 years, basically. So we want to find out how long you've been trying to cut down or quit drinking. So please write in the chat, and then I think I can access the chat from my screen here, even though I've got the slides up. Let me try. Yeah. Oh, I see we've got some new people. Hello, Anne from Canada, our first Canadian. Magda from Joburg. Gabrielle. Fran. Hiya, Fran. Nina Dye from South Africa. Okay. At least a dozen years. 15 years. Yeah. I know. It's crazy, isn't it? 5 years. 20 years. 20 years on and off. 4 years, 4 months. 20 years. Yeah. More than 20 years. About 5 years ago, over 10 years, 5 years. Wow. All I can say, guys, is that I really hope that today is a turning point for you. So why is it that you people have been there 20 years, 5 years, 4 years, whatever? Why have you got stuck? I think the number one mistake that people make, and the secret you need to know, is that it's not about willpower, because willpower is a finite resource, and willpower might get you through a dry January, which probably, like me, many of you do to prove you're not an alcoholic. You might be able to grit your teeth and stay sober for a month or even a bit longer, but you will never sustain sobriety by using willpower. You'll never be able to actually relax and enjoy your alcohol-free life, because in your conscious mind, you'll always have this thought, I must control my drinking. So forget willpower. And what we also do, many of us, is we think we're not that bad, because society has stigmatized alcoholism to such an extent that we think of an alcoholic now as a homeless man in the park. And that's just how big alcohol likes us to think about an alcoholic. Whereas in reality, the average alcoholic, I don't like that word, but I'll just use it to demonstrate this point, is the average alcoholic is a fully functioning executive with a nice family, often far more than those extreme people that we see homeless in the park. So we make the mistake of comparing ourselves with those kind of people because we think, I'm not like they are. And in fact, I began my journey of trying to quit drinking at AA, and it was completely counterproductive for me. Because the meetings that I went to, I came across people that were drinking in the morning, people that had lost everything. And I would leave those meetings thinking, I'm not that bad. I only drink a bottle of wine a night, because I was comparing myself with them. Whereas, of course, I should compare myself with the best version of myself that I could possibly be. So a lot of us fall into this trap, and we're waiting for rock bottom as well, which is mad. You need to get off the slippery slope as soon as you can, not wait till rock bottom. And I even met a lady the other day who said that she was waiting for an ultimatum from her husband. She knew that it was out of control and she would make an effort, but she was just waiting for him to say no more. But he hasn't yet. That's a big mistake. Another mistake is people try and do it alone, because there's so much shame around drinking, especially for us ladies. I tried, and I was full of shame, because and my thinking when I got myself in this fix and I'll get myself out of it and nobody needs to know anything about it. So we struggle on alone, and many of those people in that dark 11-year place are trying to do it alone. Another reason people stay stuck is they've got no idea how to quit. There are so many techniques and tools and ways that you can do this thing, but you have to know what they are and you have to get some help. So this is why people get stuck. And again, we'd like to ask you why you think you've been stuck. Did any of those reasons resonate with you? Just tell us in the chat why you think you've been stuck for that time, because presumably you've wanted to change during those 5 years, 20 years that you told us. So anyone want to volunteer why they've been stuck in their drinking, why they haven't been able to make the change? So Monica, I think Monica said she was from Scotland. She said she's not able to go to rehab. I know some people, if you've got families, if you've got a job, how do you suddenly excuse yourself for 3 weeks? You don't want to do AA. You need to get sober, need to be here for my family. So you need to do it in the comfort of your own home, in your own time. Monica, we can offer you that. Angela says anxiety and boredom. So presumably that's why you're drinking, because you're drinking because you're anxious. What's that mean that we like? Drinking alcohol is like pouring gasoline on your anxiety. There's been studies proving that alcohol makes our anxiety worse, which is so ironic, isn't it? Because we drink it to calm our social anxiety. Boredom. Yeah, we encourage people when they join Tribe Sober to explore other activities. We need to fill our lives with joy, with learning, with connections, not with alcohol. Elmi was highly functional, started self-medicating when you move countries. Yeah, I've moved countries several times, and I think my drinking got a little worse every time I moved. I can see that. Thinking that you've got willpower, thinking you can do it alone. Don't believe I could. Yeah, I've met a lot of people that say, I'm frightened of failure. My friends are all going to laugh at me and say, oh, I can't do it. And that's, yeah, we have to believe in ourselves. And we start people off gently at Tribe Sober, and we don't believe in the F word, the forever word. We believe in doing things step by step. And progress, not perfection, just racking up a few alcohol-free days here and there until those sober stretches get longer and longer. Fear of failing. Hi, Ginny. Yes, I know Ginny. Yeah, that fear. Lying to myself, feeling like I can't cope without it. You're going to cope. Life is beautiful without it, I promise. And so many of us, I know Lynette and Sue would agree with me. We had no idea when we stopped drinking just how our lives would change and open up and improve. Wanting to always believe I was never as bad. Yes, so you can relate to looking at the homeless man in the park and thinking, oh, shame, I'm not like him. Couldn't see myself at AA. Yeah. Yes, absolutely, Karen. That really riled me because I'm a bit of a feminist. And there I was sitting in my AA meeting and they told me I was powerless. I thought, and then they made me label myself an alcoholic. You have to find the right approach. And there's a modern recovery movement these days. There are so many different approaches. AA is no longer the only gig in town. I fell in love. Yes, absolutely, Johnny. Yeah, I also fell in love with that buzz, and I spent the next, God knows, 30 years chasing that buzz. And that's when we know we've got an issue, when we're chasing the buzz. For me, it was nothing to do with the taste. I'm married to a Frenchman who loves fine wines, but to me, I didn't care if it was Plonk or the finest wine. I just wanted the buzz. Thinking I'm not that bad, doing it alone, waiting for the right life, yes, which never lasted. Don't care enough. Oh, we say, Cheryl, that this journey, it's about learning to love ourselves again. Because so many people, me included, when we started on this journey and with Tribe Sober, we felt we didn't love ourselves at all. We were full of shame and regret. And this journey gives you back your self-esteem because you feel proud and it is an achievement. And then we always say that sobriety is a superpower because you get this feeling of strength and you think, if I can do this, I can do pretty much anything. Gabby went to AA and didn't like it. Yeah, me too. Shame is a factor that holds you back. Yeah, we need to ditch the shame because the thing is, Sienna, we're not the bad guys here. We've got big alcohol. He is the bad guy. He is spending trillions on advertising to get us hooked. And alcohol is an addictive substance that's been completely normalized. And the stats tell us that 20% of regular social drinkers will become addicted, will become dependent on alcohol over time. Usually takes about 20 years for us to get hooked. Routine, anxiety, crutch. Yeah, we rely on it, don't we? Alcohol is everywhere I turn. Oh boy, I know that feeling. But what's great is if you do the work, you can then see through all that, and when you look at the marketing, you think, oh, there they go again. It doesn't touch you because you can see it's total bullshit. And then the way to get through family gatherings, etc., it's not easy, and there are ways we help people to do this. But eventually you can become a bit of an anthropologist and you can observe people and you see how people change after 2 drinks, after 3 drinks, and you'll end up thinking, I actually don't want to be that person anymore. It's become a habit. Yeah, it's very easy for it to become a habit. And you build a neural pathway and it just slips into your life and it brings nothing but trouble. Anxiety, work stress, numbs. Yeah, that's exactly what I was doing when I got home from my job in my 40s. Always I can have one. Yes, I know. Oh, I used to do that. My husband used to say, just have 2 glasses of wine when we go out, darling. And I'd really try, and I just could not. Once I'd have 1 glass, that was it. The bets were off because we don't have an off switch. Once we've got into dependence, we don't have an off switch. Loneliness, self-medication, numbness, my social group. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, our friendship groups do evolve a little bit when we embark on this journey because there's no point in hanging out with really heavy drinkers if they're not going to support what you're doing. You have to have the right group around you because your drinking buddies tell you that you're crazy and you haven't got a problem because you drink just like them. They've got a problem. And your friends, your family will just tell you to cut down a bit, which is impossible once you've got to a certain stage. Sienna, it's so difficult doing it alone. Absolutely. We're here for you. Self-doubt, habit, and a bit of glamour. Yeah, Fran, we all thought it was glamorous, didn't we? Yeah, lost the stock ban. Can't cook a meal without. Yeah, that's the kind of pairing thing, isn't it? We have to start disassociating our various activities. And the way we do that is you can cook with an alcohol-free drink, Shaq. Maybe you like the alcohol-free beers. Have one of those instead when you're cooking. The buzz and the numb. Showing off, wanting people to believe. Yes, I see that a lot of that in South Africa, actually. There's so much marketing around very expensive whiskies and brandies, and you see a table in the ad and these big billboards. You see these beautiful people, and they're obviously very successful, and they're all drinking these prestige drinks. It's not good. We're just being brainwashed. Thinking I have 1 or 2 glasses always turns into a bottle. Yeah. Absolutely. It's an addictive substance. Thanks, guys. You're awesome. So let me get rid of that chat and then I'll carry on. So yeah, here's my 3 steps then. So let me deal with mindset to start with. Now, I've been saying to you that willpower doesn't work, haven't I? So you might be thinking, what do I do instead? Willpower is all about our conscious mind, but you have to work on a deeper level. You have to deprogram yourself, because we've been programmed over the decades, over the years, by society, by marketing, to believe that there's something good about alcohol. So you have to work on your subconscious now. So you have to overturn your limiting beliefs. That's all the things that you believe about alcohol. Because this struggle here that we depict, that's the struggle between your conscious mind and your subconscious. And I'm sure you're aware that your subconscious is so much more powerful. That's where your beliefs sit. Your subconscious works 24/7. It processes everything that happens to you. Whereas your conscious mind is relatively powerless, if I can say that. So we end up with this argument going on. I used to have it all the time. My conscious mind would say, God, you were a nightmare last night. No more drinking for you. You've got to stop it. You've got to stop it. And then my subconscious would pipe up and say, but I can't stop drinking because I won't be able to have fun anymore, or I won't know how to deal with my stress or my anxiety. So you end up with this struggle, this internal struggle, which is quite unpleasant. So why do we need to change our mindset in the first place? Because our brains have been hijacked, literally hijacked, by marketing and societal norms. And if ever you've tried to stop drinking or even take a break, and then you're out socially and you'll just be plagued by questions. We always say that alcohol is the only drug we have to justify not taking, because people say, oh, you're not drinking, why is that? And that's what society's done. It's normalized alcohol. So those of us that don't drink are the odd ones out. I like to frame it that we're actually rebels, because I started drinking as a teenager to be rebellious. And now, again, I feel rebellious because I don't drink, because that's what everybody else does. And I was just interviewing a podcast guest earlier today, and he said we have to unplug from the alcohol matrix. I like that, because the whole of society is plugged into this matrix. I heard a nice analogy. Imagine a fly in a room. You know how sometimes they buzz around and they buzz at the window because they're trying to get out, yet the door's open, yet they can't seem to realize that they can just fly out the door. That's a bit like how we are with alcohol. It's a prison, but the door is open. So how are you going to change your mindset? You're going to work, first of all, on the conscious mind by getting the facts. You're going to do some research. Treat it as a research project. It's actually quite fascinating. It's full of science and psychology. So read books. There's some amazing books out there. Listen to podcasts. Tribe Sober podcast on Apple or Spotify. We've got episodes now. Just get the information, because I promise you, the more you learn about alcohol and the harm that it's doing your body and your brain, the less you are going to want to drink it. And yeah, I had an email from a guy who'd listened to a Tribe Sober podcast every day for 100 days, and it did the trick. He doesn't drink anymore. And then you have to go on a deeper level and do the work. And that's when you have to uncouple alcohol from activities. And that's, I think it was Shaq, wasn't it, saying that he always cooks with his wine or his drink. And here in South Africa, when I used to run physical workshops, I'd often get a lady coming to me saying, I can't imagine watching the sunset without my glass of wine. I would say, watch the sunset with a glass of alcohol-free wine or a different drink, and it'll feel weird at first and you'll miss it, but within 66 days, that's how long it takes to change a habit, you'll get used to it. So we have to start uncoupling alcohol from activities, and we have to surface our limiting beliefs and then work on them, overturn them. And one of my limiting beliefs was that I couldn't socialize without alcohol. And the way that I overturned that was I made myself socialize without alcohol. again and again. And it was pretty excruciating, and it took months, but I treated it like a challenge. I would write it up in my journal every time I came home. And sometimes I would do a runner after 30 minutes. Sometimes I would have quite a nice time. And it must have taken nearly 6 months, but then I'd been drinking for 40 years. And then finally, about 5, 6 months, I could relax and socialize without alcohol. But you have to do the work. So I'd like to ask you how you're feeling now. How do you feel at the prospect of ditching the booze? And what are you afraid of? I've just said I was afraid of socializing without alcohol. Tell us in the chat what you're afraid of, because that will give you a clue of what your limiting beliefs are and what you've got to overturn. 66 days, that's long to stop a habit. How long have you been drinking for? People that want to do this, they're often quite impatient. We have to remember how long we've been drinking for. So the link for the podcast, maybe Sue can put it in the chat for me. But if you just go on Apple or Spotify and type in Tribe Sober, it'll come up. Let's get to these fears. Oh, fear of being boring. Yeah, I had a friend once that was trying to give up drinking, and she said, my problem is I've got no conversation if I don't have my wine. That made me laugh. But it's true, and there is definitely a period of what I like to call being sober awkward. There's even a podcast called Sober Awkward. It's brilliant. Because we do feel awkward because we miss it. And most of us that enjoy drinking and use it for social anxiety, we've used it to numb out that stage. So we almost have to learn how to relax all over again. So Sylvan, I'm sure you're not in the least bit boring. I'll tell you what is boring, and that is a drunk person telling the same story again and again. And when you get into your anthropologist mode and observe people that are drinking, that's when you'll see how boring people are. So Karen's feeling hopeful and excited. Fantastic. Oh, I'm very pleased, Karen. Fear of failure, that's absolutely normal. What is failure? The way that we work, failure might be having a slip up after a few days of sobriety and then having a drink. So we say to our members when they do that, well, just get back on the bus, reflect on it for a moment. Why did that happen? And then start again. And that's how you start building up the sober stretches. And every time you do a sober stretch, you learn something from it. Tonya's afraid of reverting back. Yes, that's what it's like, this journey. You go back and forth and back and forth. But as long as you're making progress, that's what matters. You're scared to face reality. Yeah, we use alcohol to numb out things, don't we? But the thing is, reality is still there when we come round after the drinking, and we've got to face reality with a crushing hangover then. All my friends drink, I wonder who I will hang out with. Yep, that is a real one there. But you'll hang out with Tribe Sober, that's who you'll hang out with, because you need a new tribe when you stop drinking, because societal norms are so strong that people, I said this before, your family will tell you to cut down, your drinking buddies will tell you you don't have a problem. You need people you can relate to. So you might have to hang out with us for a while, but then you'll be able to go back to your original friends and enjoy them without getting completely hammered with them. Oh, this is interesting. Losing my connection to my most cherished loved one. I presume that's your partner, Cheryl. And yeah, if drinking is something that you've done together, then I do understand that fear. But I would also tell you that we've got a lot of examples of Tribe Sober, of ladies coming to us saying exactly that. But we say, forget about him, you do you. And they get sober, and eventually the husband will follow them because he'll look at her and think, wow, she looks better, she's happier, maybe I should give this a try. And we've got several examples I can think of. I would say you do you. He's very even if he doesn't join you, if he loves you, then he's going to support. Because all you're trying to do is be healthier and happier. Losing friends, yeah. Are they real friends or are they drinking buddies? Your real friends will stick with you, Nina. It's quite eye-opening to be able to see who are your real friends and who are just your drinking buddies. Being able to relax, yeah, you have to find new ways to relax. Not being good enough, yeah, social anxiety, yeah. Can't imagine never. Oh, that's why we say to people, don't say the forever word. You're just going to do this thing step by step. Oh, thank you, Sue. There's the link to the podcast. Monica's worried that she'll lose her friends. You know, again, the true friends will stick with you. Yeah, I lost a few drinking buddies, to be honest, but I've also still close to some of my drinking buddies. But now I don't meet them for a long boozy lunch. I'll meet them for breakfast or something. I still keep in touch, but you reconfigure your life. How to cope during emotionally. Yeah, we can numb our emotions. But Lynette will be talking to you about this in a moment. And we certainly get very emotional in early sobriety if we've been numbing ourselves, but it's part of the beauty of the journey, and she will explain that to you. Love the taste of alcohol. It's not actually the taste of alcohol that you like, because if you tasted real, just pure alcohol, which is ethanol, you would immediately spit it out, Peggy. What you're tasting is the sugar and the stuff that they put in it. Yeah, one drink will get you going again. That's the thing. We have to accept that we can never have one drink, because what do they say at AA? Even if I don't like a lot of things about them, I often pinch some of their sayings. They say one drink is too many and 1,000 isn't enough. Overthinking and being bored, there's so much to do. I would say just dive into this topic for a start. Just be curious, grab some books, listen to some podcasts, and you won't be bored anymore. 4 p.m. Yep. All you can think of. I know, I was there. That's a true sign that you're dependent, and you're going to have to find something else to do at 4 p.m. I got round it by going for a 1 hour walk at that time, listening to loud music in my headphones. I did it every day, 66 days. Didn't want to drink at that time anymore. Lack of confidence. Yeah, that again, you feel sober awkward for a bit, but then you actually get more confident because you're proud of yourself. And even if you don't want to go around bragging about what you've done, obviously, but inside you'll feel proud of yourself and you'll begin to love yourself again. Fear of being rejected. Oh, no. Afraid of facing. Yeah, some of us have got real work to do about our lives and ourselves, and maybe need some therapy or some help. But alcohol isn't the answer. And one good thing about stopping the drink is you can get more in touch with what's really going on, what the problem is. Hi, Fran. Oh, yeah, you were afraid of the forever word. So you did 100 days and 60 days. Still thought I could moderate. Third time around, did the trick. Yeah. Yeah, you have to keep at this. And we see it over and over again, people that try and fail a bit and try and fail a bit. And then one day they say it on the group, something shifted. I feel different now. Exhausted and tired. Yeah, Ginny, I imagine you're using alcohol a bit like I did in my 40s. You're using it as petrol, which it is in a way. But the energy that you'll eventually get once you ditch this stuff and go through the difficult few months and then come out the other side, you'll have fantastic surges of energy. Yeah, we have to find other ways of coping when it's too much. Oh, that's interesting, Johannika, if I'm saying your name right. Yeah, I remember a lady once said to me, I drink to make people more interesting. I thought that was quite funny. We have to find the extraordinary. Yeah, Elmi's excited and liberated. Yay, new set of tools and a community. Fantastic. That's exactly how we want you to feel when you join Tribe Sober, Elmi. I think you joined, what, 2 days ago, didn't you? Lack of confidence. Yeah. So I think Karen says she's done 11 weeks, worries that she'll don't get complacent, keep at it. 11 weeks is fantastic, but you need to keep going. And when you say fab, I presume you mean fading effect bias, which is when you've done a period like 11 weeks and then you say, oh, I think I'm okay to have a glass of wine now and again. And you can't. Explaining why, yeah, you need to have your reasons ready and keep it light. Just say, I feel so much better when I don't drink, which will be true. Oh, coping with the husband, yeah. Oh, Merlene, you got angry in early days of sobriety. That's quite interesting, isn't it? Because we can use it to mask our anger, which is not good really, is it, Merlene? Because we're making ourselves passive and we're putting up with things that we shouldn't, maybe. Oh, Sue, I stopped drinking and found myself again, and that gave me the strength to leave her narcissist husband. Thank you, Sue, for that share. Yep, Sue got divorced quite. Yeah, we meet people in our tribe, they make big life changes because once you stop drinking and you start to find yourself again, like Sue did, you start thinking, do I want to be with this person for the rest of my life? And do I like my job? And do I like this town I'm living in? And you make big changes because you've got energy and the motivation. Oh, look, Melly, now I can identify it, feel it, respond. Superpower, absolutely. Can't socialize without. That's exactly what I felt, Mamafa, but I had to socialize without it. I had to go through the pain. This isn't an easy thing to do. You have to do the work, but it is so worth it. Again, we're still on how to change your mindset. Do some reframing. This is a member of Tribe Sober came up with this brilliant reframe. She says, you don't have a drinking problem. You've got an opportunity for personal growth. You've got an opportunity here to change your life and to live the life of your dreams. It's a big opportunity. So get reframing it because you're going to gain so much more than you'll lose. Because another thing that keeps us trapped in our drinking is we fear that we're going to lose a lot. We're going to lose our friends. A lot of you have said that we're going to lose our way to relax. But in fact, you gain so much more than you lose. And I think I've got a slide on that actually, explaining exactly what you do. Yes, look at this. So you're going to lose hangovers, anxiety, self-loathing, regret, excess weight, and poor quality sleep. That's what you lose. And look at all this that you'll gain. You'll get healthier, you'll have more energy, less anxiety, self-worth, a sense of peace and freedom, and more time and more money. So much, so many things to gain. And finally, on the mindset thing, first of all, alcohol is a trap. We love this Venus flytrap analogy here. I don't know if you know about this plant, but the fly comes along and he sucks out this delicious nectar at the top, and then he goes down further and further, and sometimes he slips right to the bottom and he drowns in the nectar that is at the bottom. And even when he's at the rim here, he can see that the bottom is full of dead flies, but he thinks, I'm not that bad. So he carries on drinking and drinking. And sometimes he gets so bloated with the stuff that he can't fly away. So that's a nice analogy, isn't it? And alcohol's also a thief. Look at all the things that it steals from you. You've probably read this slide by now. I won't read it all again, but your sleep, it's not good quality sleep when we've been drinking a few glasses of wine in the evening. We basically sedate ourselves and pass out and wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning feeling rubbish. So that is a wonderful bonus of being sober. You sleep like a baby and it'll affect your looks. We say to people, take a selfie on day 1, take another one 100 days after you've done 100 days alcohol free. Your skin will be clearer, your eyes will be brighter, you'll lose the puffiness, you will look completely different. The health risks are huge. And time, that's a big one. We waste so much time planning, drinking, recovering from it. And money as well. I think a lot of us don't think about this, but even a moderate drinker, I thought of this in American terms. I looked up how much a bottle of wine in the US was. And I thought about a moderate drinker who would probably get through 3 bottles of wine a week, not 10 like I used to. But even a moderate drinker spends $2,500 a year on alcohol. Someone like me, I was spending $7,500 a year, and that's a lot of money. You can have a jolly good holiday for that money instead of destroying your health. Peace of mind is, yeah, because you've always got this internal struggle. And if you're always thinking about alcohol and drinking and your problem, it's exhausting. There's so many more interesting things to think about. And it steals your energy and motivation. It traps you in Groundhog Day. I used to wake up in the morning feeling rubbish and saying, I'm not going to drink wine this evening. I'll have a night off. And then by 5 o'clock, I was feeling quite perky. So I thought, oh, I'll just have 1 glass of wine. And of course, there went the bottle. And that was my life day after day. And I never had the motivation to actually do anything. So now I'm going to hand over to my colleague, because once we've worked on our mindset, we have to get more in touch with our emotional side. And several of you have already mentioned this, because of course our emotions drive our behavior. So I'm going to hand over to my colleague Lynette now.
Oh, thank you, Janet. Yeah, and thank you for the opportunity to be part of this exciting webinar. I'm always so excited by being involved and like really being an example to people who are struggling that you can do this. It's possible. One of my big things was that one of my first observations at the thought of not drinking was, how will I ever feel good again? So that gives you an example of my story, my feeling problem. And I was quite shocked a couple of months into my sobriety when I got coaching, because I was feeling so blah and so listless and I got coaching, and I had a really good coach, and she said to me, you don't have a drinking problem, you have a feeling problem. And I was like, what? I feel bad all the time. And she says, yeah, but you just drink down the feelings, and now you're probably eating down the feelings. And I'm like, yeah, that's what's happening. So a little bit about my story. I would say that I used to drink to escape myself, my life, my feelings, my stresses. And that was my biggest reason why I drank. And I started drinking excessively in my mid-40s and right into my 50s, and kept starting. But on the 17th of August, 2017, I'll never forget this day. I was driving to work and I had the worst hangover ever. I couldn't remember ever feeling this sick, and my head was pounding. I'd had a binge on vodka the night before, and it was a cold, icy, windy day in Johannesburg, and I had my head out my car window, just wanting some relief from the ice cold wind. And I don't know if it was my higher power or the universe or what it was, but I felt like there was an energy and a force that took me by my shoulders and shook me and said, not this. This is not why were put on this earth. This is not what it means to live. This is not a life. Not this. And I call it my not this moment. And then of course, once I had this not this, it was like, now what? And I said to myself, I don't care what. I don't care if I don't ever feel good again. I don't care. I'm going to find a way. I'm going to find a way to never have this again. I'm going to find a way to feel more alive and excited about my life, and not trying to escape it all the time. And from there, I started the journey and to sobriety. And like I said, about 3 months into my journey, I've started to feel really bleak. I was eating excessive sugar. I had high inflammation. I had chronic pain. And I had a coach who said to me, the problem with you is not drinking. It's that the fact that you're not feeling your feelings. You're not allowing yourself to feel. You're not processing your emotions, and all this pain and all this inflammation and everything that you're feeling in your body. Those are stuck emotions, and you're going to need to learn how to process and feel emotions, and you will heal. And she was so right. So we're going to go to the next slide, where we're going to talk about, okay, how did I heal and rewire my brain and also and heal my body with the power of emotion, using feelings. So first of all, if you're drinking excessively, alcohol rewires the brain, and it shrinks the brain. It shrinks your prefrontal cortex, so your self-command muscle is not strong. So you become more and more compulsive and less able to really bring yourself in as the driver. It's like alcohol seems to take control. And the more you drink, and if you feel your tolerance is going up, your brain is rewired. It's being rewired. And so the journey to really rewiring your brain, and then with using the power of your emotion to do that, is where all your power lies. So the first thing I always say to my clients, and the first thing I learned, was to get curious versus judgmental, versus judging myself for why did I drink so much and why did I get in this habit and I'm a bad person. Instead, I went into curiosity. Why am I feeling upset today? What am I feeling so upset today? What is happening for me? Getting really curious. When I had a visceral reaction in my body, I would get curious. What caused that? Or when I experienced an expansive feeling, I was like, oh, I'm feeling expansive. That's joy. I actually didn't know anymore how feelings felt in my body and what they were. And so that was very exciting for me to get really curious and trying on different emotions and feelings. So my coach gave me the challenge. She said, try on different feelings. Try, like you're going into a closet and it's a different garment every day. Just try on, what does discouragement feel like? Oh, what does joy feel like? What does envy feel like? What does and so I went, and it was almost like she said to me, imagine there's a beautiful person coming to you with a platter of feelings, and you can choose your feelings, and you get to choose the feelings. And why was that so important? Because, as Janet alluded, our feelings drive our actions. So think about that. Everything you do or don't do is because of how you want to feel or how you don't want to feel. So you were sharing with us there, you were bored, so you didn't want to feel bored. So you were maybe restless, or you wanted to connect with your husband, or you wanted to bond. You didn't want to feel rejected by people. It's all because of how you don't want to feel or how you want to feel. I want to enjoy the sunset. You want to have the upgrade, as I call it. You want to upgrade every experience. So it's always linked to feelings. And the most important one is that we don't like to feel uncomfortable. Our brain is wired for safety and pleasure. And when we feel uncomfortable, the brain is saying, that's not safe. Get to pleasure, get out of discomfort. So when we've taught our brain that the way we get out of discomfort is we just drink, then that's the pattern we've taught it. And that's how we then solve for almost everything with alcohol. So we need to learn how to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So my coach said to me, Lynette, what kind of life do you want? Do you want a soft life or do you want a hard life? And I thought, that's a trick question, right? I said, soft life. And she said, oh, why? I said, no, because I want to be happy and I want things to be easy and I don't want to have stress and I don't want to have anxiety and worry and I just want an easy life. And she said to me, is that really true? What is wrong with hard? And I was like stumped. I was like, I can't do hard. And she said, are you sure? Whenever you've grown and whenever you've accomplished things in life, didn't you have to go through hard? Doesn't the caterpillar need to be, in order to become the butterfly, doesn't the butterfly have to really struggle to get through the cocoon and break free with strong wings? Isn't that part of how we evolve in this life? Our growth, isn't that where our aliveness comes from? And I knew she had a point. And from that day, I said to her, I'm going to reframe this. I'm going to tell myself, I can do hard things. And here's the thing, when we can think a thought, like I can do hard things, and we feel empowered by that thought, and we feel determined, then the actions that we take come from there versus, this is too hard, this feeling like weak, and then we'll take the actions that support that. So really getting in touch how our thoughts create our feelings, drive our actions. And then in a way, all of the results that we have in our life, all the actions that we've taken have come from feelings that were linked to thoughts. When I understood I could try on any emotion and I could start to feel and release these emotions through my body, I understood what it truly meant to live fearlessly. Where any challenge I would approach with curiosity and empathy, and possibility and innovation versus fear and judgment and feeling worry and anxiety. That was my usual way, that if anything happened in my life that was challenging, I would go into anxiety, fear and worry. But when I learned how to live fearlessly, I learned how to go into curiosity and innovation and possibility and find my aliveness there. It's one of the most amazing gifts I've gotten from my sobriety, is to live fearlessly. And living fearlessly is not feel the fear and do it anyway. No, it's really feeling the fear or feeling the discomfort, getting curious about it, releasing it, and then activating from a place of curiosity or possibility or looking for solutions. Very different. And when you can do that, you can truly live your life without fear. You can be fearless warrior in this life. Amazing feeling. And to get there, you need to go through the process of transition, the recovery curve. A year of transformation. It takes about a year. I've noticed with most of my clients, with me, to get to the point where I felt strong and I felt I could really build on the new tools that I got, was about a year where I got really the deeper sobriety work. And you might say, a year, that's so long, because that's the thing with us drinkers. We want to have the quick and easy pleasure. We don't want to do hard. We don't want to get out of our pond of misery. I say we're in this pond and we don't want to step into the river of misery to get to the land of endless possibilities. So this is what it looks like. It looks like you might be right now arrived here because you're just feeling very hopeless and you're just feeling you need to make a change and things are not working. Your drinking is escalating and getting out of hand. So you come to the webinar and you think, I'm going to change things. You feel hopeful. Or we say, you know what, I'm just going to drink and go and have excesses and just treat my December as my final year, my final blowout. And then when January comes, I'm going to do dry January, and then I'm going to build on that and start getting sobriety stretches. And that's going to be my springboard to sobriety. So we feel happy and excited, and we anticipating how we can do this. And then what happens? It's what a very good friend of mine calls the fantasy fizzle. How many of us start out with good intentions to either stop drinking at the beginning of the year or to change our eating habits, to lose weight, to go to the gym, and mid-month we're already feeling less, we're going less, we're not doing the work anymore, we're starting to get overwhelmed by life we have bills maybe that come in, we have work stress, we have a partner stress, we have the stress of getting our children to school, we have all kinds of life happening, circumstances that happen that start to deplete our reserve. And we start to think, what's changed? Nothing has changed. This is so hard. I'm not feeling any better. Me, 3 months and feeling like nothing had changed. In fact, I felt worse with the inflammation and the pain and no motivation to get up. I was depressed, not understanding how my brain was rewiring. What you're starting to do as you go through this transition and you see what's happening here, you start to trade your initial emotions of excitement and anticipation and joy and possibility and curiosity for fear and doubt and disappointment and discouragement. And you either then just leave and say, I can't change. Who am I even trying to fool? I can't change. And you just get right off the curve and you just start going into your habituated patterns. I like that word that Clark used. Oh, I can't even pronounce it, but I think it means being somebody who habitually goes into relapses and into relapsed patterns. So we do that, we get off the curve. And instead of what you can do is you can plan for this, you can prepare for this. This is what's going to happen. And you can say to yourself, I need to negotiate this with a coach. And what I want to also say is the quicker you are aware of these emotions and these feelings that are presenting themselves to you, they're like professors. Nothing has gone wrong when you feel fear or discouraged or angry. Those are really just upsets and heavy emotions like that are really just access to what is really going on underneath that we need to solve for. And I like to say that your triggers are like breadcrumbs into your limiting beliefs. You just follow the triggers, follow the upset, and you will have access to where the real work lies. So that's why this is such a beautiful opportunity, and it's a year of transformation. And think about how long you've been drinking, and it's a year where your life starts to change, where you start to feel empowered, where you start to feel fearless. Wow, isn't it worth it? And at the end of this webinar, Janet will actually be inviting you to work with us and to enter really with us into a sacred space of transformation. Become part of our tribe. And when you become part of our tribe, you also get an introductory coaching session with me where we can put your plan in place, your recovery curve. We can work at where are you currently? How can we get you to the land of endless possibilities of living fearlessly and having a beautiful alcohol-free life? I've seen so many of my clients transform their lives. It's amazing. And it does take time. That's the good news and the bad news, however you want to look at it. Remember, discomfort is the currency of growth. When I understood this, when Brooke said to me, do you want a soft life or a hard life? And I understood that my ticket to freedom is if I can deal with discomfort, the discomfort of somebody thinking I'm an alcoholic, or what are people going to think of me, or feeling awkward. I could do awkward, and I could embrace all of the emotions. I could do anything. I could do hard things. And I love what Dr. Edith Eger says. She says that, and she's a Holocaust survivor. She wrote a book, The Gift. She's a psychologist, an amazing woman. And she has seen so many people and worked with so many people who are struggling in this life. And she says that when we don't grow, when we just keep revolving, so we just keep revolving in the same habituated patterns, we relapse into the same patterns over and nothing changes, and we stagnate in there. We leave a legacy of suffering. But when we evolve and when we grow and when we embrace our discomforts and we move forward, we get them to propel us into evolving. We leave a legacy of love. And I think that's amazing.
Thank you,
Thank
Viv.
you.
Thank you so much. The struggle, end the struggle, step 3. So I've talked about mindsets. Lynette's talked so beautifully there about our emotions. And now I'm going to talk about community, because I believe a big part of this journey is to find your people. Because my story is that I went to AA to try and get sober. I didn't know where else to go, and they weren't my people because they were much further down the line with their drinking than I was, although I was on the way there, and I just couldn't really relate to them, even though I went to several different meetings. But I didn't give up, and I carried on looking, and eventually I found a community that suited me, because there were people that it was mostly women, and there were women with good jobs and nice families, and they were downing a bottle of wine a night and more at the weekend. And I thought, yes, these are my people. So we went through this workshop together, and then we all exchanged phone numbers, and we had a WhatsApp group together. And that was what did it for me. Just being able to get on my phone every day and say, oh, slipped up again. And people would say, oh, don't worry, it's going to be fine. And someone else would be celebrating their 1-year soberversary. And these sobriety communities are magic. They really are. So let me talk to you a little bit about community and why you need community. You need a safe and judgment-free space. You need positive role models. Here at Tribe Sober, we've got people at all levels, at all stages of the journey, because we've been going for 8 years now. There's some of us, I'm 8 years, Sue and Lynette, 7 years. We've got people all the way down to a few months of sobriety. So when a new person joins, they will take more relevant advice probably from someone that is 3 months sober than from me. They will get comments on the group, oh yeah, when I was just starting, that's what was happening to me as well, and this is how I dealt with it. Just fantastic encouragement and support day after day, and accountability as well, because when we try and do this alone, I remember I'd get to day 3, maybe even day 4, using willpower, of course. And then I think, oh, I think I need a drink today. I'm fed up now, and nobody really cares whether I'm doing this or not because I haven't told anybody, and I would have a drink. But if you know that you've got a community and they're rooting for you, and you know that on Saturday it's Screenshot Saturday and you'll be expected to share your tracker and show the others how you're doing, you'll hang in there because you won't want to let your tribe down. And you need, quite simply, a new tribe for this journey, because societal norms are so strong that all the people you know, they'll probably be drinkers, or they'll be normal drinkers, as we call them. And that means, a bit like my husband, alcohol isn't even on his radar. He'll have a drink if there's one going, but if there's not, it doesn't cross his mind that there isn't one. But us drinkers, we're in a different place. So you need people that understand you. And I love working in the recovery community, and I've done all these podcasts now with people from all over the world. And I swear, within 5 minutes of talking to someone in Canada or US, we've got such a deep connection because we understand the struggle and we respect each other for getting through that struggle. And we know what it's like, and we just genuinely want the best for each other. And we take such joy in each other's achievements. The soberversaries come in thick and fast these days into Tribe Sober, and you can see how excited people get when somebody's hit their 2 years sober or whatever it is. So community connects. Connection is the opposite of addiction. There's a beautiful TED talk by an English journalist called Johan Hari. He explains a scientific experiment that proves that connection is the opposite of addiction. And community allows us to experience the power of vulnerability. I'm sure you're all familiar with the fabulous Brené Brown. For me, it's been such a joy to just be so real with people. And it always strikes me as it's the complete opposite to the kind of parties that I used to go to when everybody was quite dressed up and showing off a bit about their new job, their new car, this and that, all the superficial stuff. And this is real. People will come to our Zoom cafe on Saturday and they'll sit there and cry, and that's fine because we're all crying with them and we're going to get them through whatever they're going through. So the power of vulnerability is huge. And community is going to connect people on the same path, people who really understand each other. Community can change your life. This is one of our members here. This is Roz, who joined us when she was 70, saying, oh, I hope it's not too late. And it certainly wasn't. She didn't have a drink since the day she joined us, but not just because she joined Tribe Sober. She treated this as a job. That's how she phrased it. I've done a podcast with her. She said it was a job, and every day she would work at it, whether it's a podcast or a book or an exercise or a course. She worked at it, and within 6 months she was flying, and she looked different and she felt different. And yeah, she's the help and support, caring, friendly and supportive. And she's made friends who will be at my side forever. And it's beautiful that she feels that way, because those of us that have been doing this together for years, we're like family now. We're real close friends. Another testimonial from, I mean, you can get loads of testimonials on our website. I won't bore you with any more, but this is Trish from Australia. And I loved what she said as well, that she heard someone offering a solution that was based on connection and support, that didn't start with the notion that I was broken or weak, that I was brave and strong, and all I needed was a positive plan and a tribe. I guess that's what we're offering you guys, a positive plan and a tribe. And community can be fun. One of our members is a cartoonist, and we just love her cartoons. This is one of my favorite, 4 a.m. That time when you wake up feeling dreadful and you start doing the quiz on your laptop, am I an alcoholic? And then you get that result. You should probably cut down, and you're quite relieved because it means basically you just carry on doing what you're doing. So she wrote us a nice testimonial here, because Sarah describes herself as a cautious introvert. So she wasn't quite sure it would be her vibe, but to her great surprise, she was soon all over the groups, connecting and enjoying the chat, sharing information and ideas. Had no idea what I was missing. And indeed, she's 2 years sober in about a week's time, and she's just doing great. Are we your community? That's the question you need to ask yourself. Are we your people? If you join Tribe Sober, you're going to find we're about 400 members. That's the number that we more or less stay at, because people get sober with us and then they leave, which is fine, but it means we have a churn. So we've always got people coming in, but we tend to stick at about 400 members, and that suits us fine because we're quite a small team. And with that number of members, we can give people personal attention. And Sue's amazing. She knows who everybody is, and she talks to everybody on her Zoom chats every day. So you'll get personal attention to stay on track and navigate that recovery curve that Lynette talked about. And obviously you get an introductory session with Lynette, and you can carry on working with Lynette, and many people do. So let us help you to quit drinking and start living. And we want to help you to build a beautiful alcohol-free lifestyle. What you get when you join as a tribe member is you get that community. You've got an international community. You've got accountability. We put you on challenges. We give you trackers, and we give you knowledge. Sue's created a member journey program, which means basically that you have a guide that will take you right through your first year of sobriety, again, through that recovery curve. So we're asking you to have faith in us, because we've been doing this 8 years and we know a thing or two. And we're all so passionate about sobriety because it's changed our life, and we'd love it to change yours. And this is a nice quote by Martin Luther King, that faith is about taking that first step Because I still remember being in very early sobriety, and I couldn't imagine that it was going to get easier, and more importantly, that it was going to get better and better, because I think all of us have been amazed just by how wonderful alcohol-free living is. You've got two choices now. Are you going to do nothing and stay exactly where you are? Maybe for another 11 years, or maybe if you haven't done your 11 years yet, you're thinking, oh, I've got another 3 years. I would urge you not to do the full 11 years. Be one of the smart ones that gets off the slope before 11 years. Because if you do that, your life is going to stay the same. You're not going to evolve because you're in Groundhog Day. And the drinking will definitely get worse, because that's what it does. It gets worse. You'll get more dependent. Or you can enter our safe space of transformation and begin this life-changing journey and become the person that you were really meant to be. You can get your wings. And Lynette loves to tell us to choose our hard. So here's your choice of hard things. You join us and there's a period of adjustment. I won't lie about that. It's hard for the first few months, but if you're curious, if you listen and learn, your tribe will get you through. And it is so much harder, in my view, to keep drinking, becoming more dependent, more anxious, and putting your health at risk. Because if you take the sobriety route, it's such an adventure. Just play your life forward 5 years. If you carry on drinking, it's going to look pretty much the same, if you're lucky, if you've not developed a health problem. 5 years ahead, if you're sober, you don't know what'll happen. It's a complete adventure. Wouldn't it be worth it just to be alcohol-free without feeling deprived? To break free from that guilt, that shame, that blame, to end the struggle and find peace, and to be healthier and happier. So my last slide, join Tribe Sober, invest in yourself. We're always saying to our members, put yourself first, because us women especially, we're not good at that. So we're offering you a 20% discount on annual membership. Just go to tribesober.com, hit join our tribe, use the code webinar. The offer is only open for 5 days. And that's not because we're doing a hard sell here, but because we don't want you to procrastinate. We just want you to take action, because so many of you have been stuck in this place for so long. It's time for a change. And we're also offering a bonus masterclass for the first 5 people to sign up. The masterclass involves 3 hours of self-study. It's a number of videos and a workbook. And it's a fantastic start to this journey, because you'll get the knowledge that you need. The first 5 people who take us up on this offer will get one of those. And I did some sums here. I mentioned that American moderate drinker earlier, didn't I? Who spends $2,500 on wine a year. And the annual membership for an American with our discount is $240. So why not invest that money in yourself? And if you do this thing, you actually save money. We've got so many examples of people that save the money that they would have spent on alcohol and do amazing things with it. Sue, are there any questions that you would like to deal with? Anything in the chat?
There's only a couple, Janet. One was what to expect with withdrawals in the first month. That's a very hard question to answer, because everybody's different. Depends how much you have been drinking, if it's just wine or hardtack. If you do feel that you have a major problem with alcohol, maybe discuss with a doctor first, because it can be dangerous if you are a seriously heavy drinker. So that's just a proviso. If you're not, the first week is going to be tough, but you will push through. And even if you slip, you'll learn from your slips. Once you've got through your first 30 days, then things start to get much easier. We know it's hard. We've all been there and done that. But if you stick with the tribe, then you'll find it so much easier. Somebody else asked about meetings in person. We do meet in Cape Town and Johannesburg every month, the first Sunday in the month. The person that asked, I think, was in London. They do meet in London as well, not as regular, but I think they've had a couple of meetings so far. And they're also meeting in the north of England as well, Manchester area. So again, we are getting pockets of members that's enough that they can have meetups in person, which is wonderful. Any other questions?
Yeah, I can see a few here. Somebody asked if it was in rand, did you? Because I just did dollars. If you go into the website,
you'll see the price in local currency, in your local currency. And then when you check out, put in the code webinar and it will take off the discount. Matthew's just asked, is there anything in Scotland? Matthew, I don't know where you are in Scotland. There, Monica is in Aberdeen, and we've got another lady that's close to Aberdeen, and we've got somebody in Edinburgh. So we do have a few people in Scotland, yes.
So Monica's asking, are there weekly Zoom meetings? Yes, there are. Every Saturday we have a Zoom cafe, and every day Sue opens up for a Zoom chats, and she tailors them to the various time zones. And yes, there is an option for a monthly subscription. Okay, I've just realized what the time is, and we've been going on much longer than we planned, but that's partly because of the excellent participation. So thank you for that, and thank you for sticking with us for an hour and a half when I said it would be 30 minutes. You've met us now. Our website is tribesober.com. There's a WhatsApp button on there, so you can get directly through us every time. And I do hope that some of you will join up. So goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me. I hope to see lots of you in the tribe, and getting in touch. Your coaching call that you'll get with me would be lovely to strategize and be your thinking partner and how to negotiate your recovery curve.
Great. Okay, we got lots of nice thank yous for the inspirations. Thank you guys for coming along to our very first webinar.